This piece of legislation that's been brought here today, as for those of you that have been paying attention, is not in line with the Climate Action Council's goals. The sponsor said it predated the Climate Action Council's work, and so it makes sense why it's not in line with their goals in a 400-plus page document. They actually went the opposite direction of this legislation that's been brought onto the floor here today. There's a storied history of forest preservation and reforestation in New York State. If you go back into the late 1800s, we had nearly clear-cut all of New York. We had extinct the turkey. The white-tailed deer was gone. There was almost nothing left in this state. And great conservationists in this state saw the mission to bring forests back because they saw how big of a danger this was to our entire ecology. One of those is Franklin Hugh. He was referred to as the father of American forestry. He was from Lowville, New York, and he saw the devastation that the logging industry had done across upstate New York because they weren't being responsible in replacing the forests and replanting the forests after they had clear-cut them. But it's not just him, and it's not just the long history of this state. Recently, the Environmental School of Forestry in Syracuse put out a paper that said 15% of the U.S. annual carbon emissions are offset by the forest lands. Forests, and this is their words, forests store carbon in trees, leave soil where it can be sequestered for years to centuries. And it makes sense. If you're turning that carbon into a wood product that can become the desks that you're sitting at or the panels behind me, that carbon is forever sequestered so long as we don't have another Capitol fire like we did in 1911. Forests provide negative emissions, this is the reason why the Climate Action Council tuned in to forest preservation and reforestation areas. Forests converted to other uses will lose carbon stored and have much less capacity for sequestration. That's SUNY ESF saying, actually, you don't want to have solar panels in an area where you should have forest. They're saying the exact opposite. You should incentivize growing a forest and good forest management in order to sequester more carbon. Reforestation has very large benefits. This bill directly conflicts with the environmental conservation laws we laid out earlier. The purpose of reforestation is to grow forest, not to grow electrons with Chinese solar panels. And the religious dogma of electrification sometimes comes into this chamber and misses it on the policy. It misses the forest for the trees, if you will. This bill is bad for our forests, it's bad for our planet, it is short-sighted, and I hope all of you will join me in putting it down today and voting no.